Types of flow in sewerage system. In order to determine the section of sewer, it is essential to know the total quantity of wastewater or sewage that would flow through the sewer. So now, whether for designing of these sewers, we need to first understand what will be this total quantity of sewage that is going to be flowing. So that's why we have divided this entire flow of sewage into the sewerage system into two bits. One is dry weather flow and one more is storm weather flow, or one more term for this will be wet weather flow. Okay, so in simple terms, if I need to explain, it is as good as dry weather flow indicates. So the domestic sewage, what we are going to have along with the, that is your black water and grey water, together we are going to have the dry weather flow. And similarly, if you add up the rainwater or runoff water from this, so basically from that you are going to get what, your wet weather flow or storm weather flow. So let's check out these two types of flows in sewerage system in detail. Dry weather flow. Dry weather flow refers to the wastewater flow in sewer system during periods of dry weather with minimum infiltration. The consequences of the lower flow apply to both combined sewer systems and to separate sanitary sewer systems. So that is, first of all, let me clarify. So this dry weather flow, wet weather flow, what we have, so these particular differentiation is entirely different classification. And one more, what we earlier studied regarding the combined sewer, separate sewer, and partially separate. So these three are nothing but the type of sewerage systems, or else how you can convey it from one point to the another point. But wherever it is with respect to dry weather flow and the wet weather flow, currently what we are trying to discuss, so that is nothing but the amount of wastewater, or whether it is sewage, or whether it is a runoff water that is going to flow into that sewerage system. So that is going to be this. So don't get confused with type of sewerage system. So basically one classification is with respect to the way in which you are going to convey that particular sewage from one point to the another point. So there we have three classification. One will be combined, second will be separate, and third will be partially separate. Whereas whenever we consider of the flow of that waste water inside that sewerage systems, so then we have of two types. One is dry weather flow and one more will be the wet weather flow, what we'll be discussing. Okay, so now coming back to this point, so as it is mentioned here, a dry weather flow refers to the wastewater flow in the sewer system. So this sewer system can be of all the three types, that is combined, separate, or partially separate. So in any of these three, this dry weather flow can be there. So basically it depends on how you are going to or else what kind of system you are going to adopt. During periods of dry weather, so here basically what it indicates is whenever the dry weather is there, so that is whether it is a summer season, if I just take an example of that, then whatever the flow in the sewer lines are going to be there, so those sewer lines will be only flowing with what, your sewage part. Okay, because there will not be any rainfall whenever we consider the dry weather which is going to be there. So that's why here it is saying that dry weather flow refers to the wastewater flow in the sewer system during the periods of dry weather with minimum infiltration. So infiltration in the sense what, basically passage of this whatever liquid we have, whether it is runoff water or sewage through the soil particles, so with a minimum infiltration. The consequences of this lower flow apply to both combined and separate sanitary sewer system. So what it indicates is, so whether it is a combined sewerage system where both the sewage as well as a runoff water will be taken off in the same conduit, or we have separate system where we are going to have one for sewage and one for your runoff. So even at those particular cases, so this fluctuation of flow will be affecting both the systems, so whether it is separate or combined, or even it is partially separate. So that's why in simple terms, if I need to say, dry weather flow is nothing but purely sewage flow that is going to occur in the sewers, that will be during the dry season or summer season. But whenever we consider the wet weather flow, that in further slides we are going to discuss. So at that point of time, what will happen along with the sewage? So because of that rainfall, runoff is going to get generated, and the same thing will be even conveyed through the same conduit or through different conduits based on the system of sewerage. Okay. Next, it consists mainly of domestic sewage and industrial wastewater. Okay, so as I discussed, so dry weather flow, no runoff. Okay, you just think dry weather flow is equals to, there will not be any runoff that will be considered into this. Okay, so instead of that, it will be sewage and industrial wastewater. The dry weather flow is also sometimes called as sanitary sewage, since only this part of sewage or liquid that is going to be flowing in that particular aspect. Factors affecting dry weather flow. The dry weather flow or the quantity of sanitary sewage depends upon the following factors: rate of water supply, population growth, type of area to be served, and the infiltration of groundwater. So let us just go in brief about these particular things. First is rate of water supply. So one common thing is, as and when you supply more quantity of water to the public, so the quantum of waste generated will be more. So based on the thumb rule, we usually assume that 80% of whatever the quantity of water is served to the people, so 80% of that will come out as a sewage or wastewater. So whether it is for any of the consumption, whether it is a domestic demand, institutional, whatever kind of demand we are going to have, so 80% of that particular water will be coming out as the sewage. So that's why as and when the rate of water supply is more, even the quantity of sewage that is going to be generated is going to be more. So quantity of sewage generated is more, in the sense what? Dry weather flow will be more. Similarly, population growth. So population growth, as and when the population is increasing, quantity of water supply required or the demand will increase, and in turn the sewage quantity or dry weather flow quantity is also going to increase. Now third one is type of area to be served. So again here, type of area to be served is whether they have abundant availability of water in that particular area or not, whether it is a water scarce area. So again, based on that, the quantum of this dry weather flow is going to vary. And last one is infiltration of groundwater. So again, if the infiltration of groundwater, so imagine just a simple thing, this is a sewer pipe, so inside that the sewage is flowing. So even at any point of time, so imagine here we have a joint, okay, for the pipeline. So if the infiltration of groundwater, and if it enters into this particular sewage line, so even at that point of time the quantity of sewage flowing over here will be more. So that is basically adding up to the what? Dry weather flow. So here the infiltration whichever is there, so that can be in two ways. One is because of any leaks in the joints, the water can come into these particular pipes, or if there is a leakage or any breakage of this pipeline, so even at that point of time the sewage can exit out of that particular sewerage system. So that's why the infiltration of groundwater, or basically because of the leakage or any what I can say losses, so this can go in either way. Now let us see in detail about the rate of water supply. Okay. The rate of water supply to a city or a town is expressed in liters per capita per day. So what is this liters per capita per day? It is nothing but the quantity of water that is being used per capita, that is per person per day. Okay, so in the previous semester, that is in water treatment, what we have studied is regarding the various water demands what we had. So even over here in domestic demand of water usually will be what? 135 liters per capita per day. So this will be what? Our general requirement or demand that needs to be considered for the design. Okay, so next is the quantity of wastewater entering the sewers would be less than the total quantity of water supplied. So as I said, so usually 80% of the water supplied will be entering into the sewerage system as a waste. This is because of the fact that water is lost in domestic consumption, evaporation, lawn sprinkling, firefighting, industrial consumption. However, private sources of water supply, that is water from domestic wells and infiltration of subsoil water into the sewers, increase the wastewater flow rate. So in this point, if you check out, there are 2 points that needs to be considered. So the first point is why the quantum of waste generated is less than the water supplied is because this particular water supplied will be lost in domestic consumption, evaporation, lawn sprinkling, firefighting, and industrial consumption. That is, there are few bits of this water that will be utilized, but it will never end up in the sewer line. So that's why we have a bit less quantum of waste that will be generated. But apart from that, private water supply sources, that is whether it is a bore well or an open well, even the water from subsoil, as I said, so if infiltration is occurring, so that can enter into your sewerage system. So even for such things, basically add up the wastewater quantity in the sewerage flow. So that's why it will be there in both the ways. So by thumb rule, basically we say whatever the quantum of water that we supply, 80% of that will be taken as a sewerage system. Now, this extra water that enters the sewer can be assumed to be approximately equal to the water lost in consumption, etc. Due to this reason, the waste water flow rate may be assumed to be equal to the rate of water supply by the municipal authorities. The sewer should be designed for a minimum of 150 liters per capita per day. So here you can check out. So for this particular explanation, so right now they have considered the rate of flow of water is equals to the rate of flow of sewage. So why that 80% has been converted into 100%? The reason is because of this part, where there is an increase in the sewerage system because flow in the sewerage system because of the additional unaccounted sources that are going to be there. Second one, population growth. The quantity of sanitary sewage directly depends on the population. As the population increases, the quantity of sanitary sewage also increases. The quantity of water supply is equal to the rate of supply multiplied of population. The sewage quantity which will be produced in town due to future developments of the town and population should be taken into account, and as far as possible accurate result should be maintained. So here in simplest of term, what they are trying to say is, as and when the population increases, their demand of water is increasing. So that's why as and when you provide more quantity of water, so even the quantum of sewage generating, that will be more. So that's why for any of the projects for a town or a village or a city which is going to be there, so population prediction needs to be done at a accuracy with an accurate level, and along with that these results should be reliable for designing and executing for these kind of projects. Types of area served. The quantity of sanitary sewage also depends on the type of area to be served, whether it is residential, industrial, or commercial. The quantity of sewage produced in residential areas directly depends on the quantity of water supplied to that area. The quantity is obtained by multiplying the population with this factor. So that is per capita demand into the amount number of, or else the population basically gives you the demand for residential area. The quantity of sewage produced by various industries depend on their various industrial processes, and it is different for each industry. This quantity can be determined by doing a survey of that area and collecting the data. So here 2 points we need to understand. So one thing is type of area to be served is what? So whether it is residential, industrial or commercial. So all the three will have different kind of demands that are going to have. So first thing is residential. So most of the people use this water for a specific task. Okay. So whether that house is present in Belgaum or in Bangalore, in Pune, Delhi, so even outside the country, wherever that is, so the quantity of water that has been used will be for a specific purposes. That is your domestic usage, whether it is for bathing, drinking, cooking, washing and so on. But whenever it comes to the industry, so industrial water demand will be based on the type of process and the manufacturing product that is going to be there. So that's why each industry will have different amount of water requirement, and in turn the quantity of sewage generated will be different over here. Similarly the commercial, so commercial areas where all your commercial establishments will be there. So basically there usually your natural urinals or your toilet, so through that itself major quantity of sewage is going to get generated. So this is one part which is being discussed here. Now the second part is with respect to the area of type of areas to be served, is with respect to the where that area is located, whether it is a water scarce area or water abundant area. So what do I meant by that is, so if you have any alternate sources of water, then there is a chance of you using that particular additional source of water or means greater. The best example if I give you is Belgaum itself. So in many of the old Belgaum regions or areas, you can check out, so each of the houses have their open wells. So because of which what will happen, they tend to use that open well water in a much more quantity. So whenever a domestic wastewater, water is supplied to the public through the government, so this well water is not considered for their calculation. So because of which what will happen, whenever the amount of sewage is generated, so such kind of additional water from these open wells will be added up to that particular quantity. So that's why whether it is a water abundant area where the amount of sewage generated will be more. If it is a water scarce area, so imagine where there are no where there is not much of a scope for any groundwater utilization. So at that point of time, all the people will use only the public water supply that has been done from the municipality. So that time the quantum of sewage generating will be less. So that's why this type of area served can be assessed in two ways. Now, infiltration of groundwater. Groundwater or subsoil water may infiltrate into the sewer through the leaky joints. So as I have explained with the figure in the previous slides. Exfiltration is a reverse process which indicates the flow of wastewater from the sewer into the ground. That is, the first point will be because of that leakage or a joint mistake, so the water can enter into that sewerage system. Second point is leaving from that sewerage system because of any of the cracks that are available to the in the pipe. So that is called as exfiltration. Okay. While due to the infiltration, the quantity of flow through the sewer increases, exfiltration results in decrease in the flow and consequent increase in the pollution of groundwater. So as I told, so basically it can add up or it can be removed based on the type of process that is happening. If it is an infiltration which is happening, then it will be adding the water. If it is an exfiltration, it is going to reduce the quantum of flow. Both infiltration as well as exfiltration are undesirable and take place due to the imperfect joints. Infiltration unnecessarily increases the load on the treatment works. So if that usually infiltration, whenever we say, it is nothing but the surface water or runoff water, or even you can say the water which has been used for gardening or so and so forth. So that soil will absorb and in turn that will be infiltrating. So at that point of time, that infiltrated water will not be polluted. So it may have a minor concentration of these pollutants, but simply it increases the volume of wastewater and in turn it puts a load on the treatment units. Now let us come to the wet weather flow. Storm water flow is also known as wet weather flow. So storm water flow is nothing but what? Your runoff water because of the rainfall. When the rainfall takes place, a part of it infiltrates or percolates into the ground surface while the remaining flows over the land depending on the permeability of the ground. its surface slope and many other factors. So if I need to explain this, imagine this as your ground level. Okay, so imagine the rainfall is occurring through the clouds. Fine. So whenever the rainfall hits here, first thing what will happen, the soil will get saturated. Okay, I'll take this small part. So here the soil will get saturated. Once this soil gets saturated, then the next step is going to be what? The flow of water, or else the water starts to infiltrate and move beneath the earth. So at that point of time, the infiltration will start to occur. Now, for each of the soil which is there, okay, type of soil that we are going to have, it has its own infiltration capacity. Okay, so it has its own infiltration capacity. So if the infiltration rate is more and the quantum of rainfall coming is less, then there will not be any runoff that is generated. So I'll repeat myself, please concentrate. So whenever the rainfall is occurring, if the infiltration rate of the soil is more than the intensity of rainfall, at that point of time there will not be any runoff generated. Okay, but whereas if the intensity of rainfall is more and the amount of infiltration for the soil is less, at that point of time your runoff is going to start. And whenever this runoff is going to start, this itself, along with dry weather flow, you are going to call that as what? Wet weather flow. I hope it is clear for you. So runoff plus the dry weather flow or the sewage which is going to be there, so together you are going to call that as what? Wet weather flow. Okay, now let us continue. The amount of water flowing over the ground surface, pavements, house roofs, etc. is commonly known as the runoff or the storm water. This storm water is ultimately drained through the sewers, otherwise the streets or roads etc. would be flooded. So again, why we need to collect this wet weather flow? So is because if we don't collect it, so basically there will be this flooding effect on the street, roads, or even the low-lying area. So basically our intention with this wet weather flow will be to collect the runoff water from the locality and convey it to the disposal point. Now, factors affecting wet weather flow. So first one is catchment area. Second is ground slope, permeability of the ground, extent of impervious areas such as buildings, paved yards, non-absorbent road surfaces, extent of vegetation growth, rainfall intensity, rainfall duration, condition of the ground prior to the rainfall, concentration or compactness of the catchment area, and finally climatic conditions such as wind, humidity, temperature, and etc. So let us go in detail about these particular factors. Okay, so first one is with respect to the catchment area. So catchment area in the sense what shape of that catchment area is going to be there. So let us just try to have some examples over here. So let us say in plan, if I draw, so this is my catchment area. Okay, one more catchment area is, let us say, is in this shape. Okay, and at the center basically I have a drain through which I am going to collect this storm water or the wet weather flow which is going to be there. So at this point of time, if you just check out, if the rainfall occurs on the first one, okay, let us say in this rainfall occurs. Okay, so wherever the rainfall occurs, so let us say from the remotest point. Okay, so this is your channel, so in the middle. So whether the rainfall occurs at this point, the water can basically run off, can be generated, and it can enter over here, and from here it will be collected and it will be taken out of that area. So if I point this or else mark this as a collection or a measuring point, so I have or else this will be the length of travel for that particular catchment area. Now similarly, if I have a shape of this second type and the rainfall is occurring. Okay, so the remotest point, let us say, imagine here, if the rainfall occurs, it will come here and then it is going to enter into this. So at that point of time, what will happen? Based on this catchment area, shape and size, so the quantity of wet weather flow will be decided, or else as and when the size of that catchment area is more, your wet weather flow will be more. Obviously, more amount of area means more catchment area, in turn the quantum of water collected will be, or else runoff will be more. This is one of the bits. Now second one is with respect to the ground slope. So imagine now, if I draw the section of any of these these catchment areas. Okay, so imagine I have first section, second one is this one. So you only can imagine that as and when the slope is more, okay, so the quantum of runoff generated will be more, even though the quantum of rainfall that is occurring on both the catchment areas are same, but because of the slope, what will happen, there will be less scope for this to infiltrate. So that's why the generation of runoff will be more whenever it is with respect to the more ground slope. So whenever right now I am saying runoff, so please consider that a runoff as nothing but the wet weather flow. Okay, so surface runoff is a part of wet weather flow. Okay, next is permeability of the ground. So again, in simplest of terms, as and when the permeability is more, the water infiltrated will be more. Okay, imagine again I have two soil samples, if I need to say, same quantity of rainfall is occurring on both of them. At that point of time, you can imagine, so this let us say first one is sand, okay, second one is black cotton soil. Okay, now at this point of time, see, sand will have more permeability, so that's why this quantum of water is easily absorbed by the sand and it will allow it to infiltrate. But whenever it is with respect to the black cotton soil, at that point of time, the soil will absorb that particular water, but once it absorbs, it bulks out. So because of that, the infiltration will be less for this black cotton soil. So that's why as and when the permeability is more, okay, so your runoff will be less. So as and when the permeability is more, your runoff is going to be less. Fine. As and when the permeability is less, your runoff is going to be more. So it is a vice versa relation that we are going to have it over here. Now the next one, it is with respect to extent of impervious areas such as buildings, paved roads, non-absorbent road surfaces, etc. So here two figures have been shown here, you can check out. So if it is a non-absorbent area, okay, if it is a paved area, then what will happen, the amount of infiltration is less, deep infiltration is less, and even the evaporation is less, okay, because runoff will be more. But whereas if you don't have these paved sections, okay, or impervious sections, so maximum quantity of water will be getting into the deep infiltration or shallow infiltration. So even the runoff is going to be less, whereas the evaporation is going to be more. So whenever these impervious areas are there, so obviously the infiltration will be less as compared to the previous point what we have studied. Because of that, the runoff generated is going to be more. Now next is extent of vegetation growth. So here in the second figure you can check out the extent of this particular vegetation. Okay, so because of this vegetation, actually what happens, okay, let me just draw a figure and I'll just show you. Let us say I have one paved road, okay, let us say this is a concrete road what we have, this is just a section of that, and one more thing, let me draw it with a different color. Okay, so imagine here I have some grass or a garden. Okay, so whenever I say grass, so garden, so your grass will be there and its root will be pushing inside. Okay, so whenever I'll just try to draw few items here. Okay, whenever I do this, Okay, so here if you check out, since there is nothing on this and it is completely impervious, okay, your concrete is completely impervious, so that's why the quantity of water which is falling on this through rainfall, so the entire quantum almost will be coming out as runoff. Okay, but whenever it is with respect to the vegetation which is going to be there, the quantum of rainfall which is coming in first will be absorbed by the soil, and then infiltration will be there, and then the runoff will start. But even for this runoffs to start, whenever we have vegetation over here, so what these vegetations will do is they provide the hindrance for the flow of runoff. Okay, so here since it is completely free for a concrete road, it usually flows without much of an obstruction. But whenever the vegetation comes into picture, so it provides some hindrance or resistance for the flow of water on the surface of the ground. So in turn, the quantum of runoff is going to be less. So that's why extent of vegetation as and when it is more, the quantity of runoff is going to be less. Okay, next is rainfall intensity. So previously all the things what I have been discussing, so as and when the rainfall intensity is more, your runoff is going to be more. The reason because, so rainfall when it occurs on the ground surface, if the infiltration rate is less, then the runoff is going to start. So in the previous slide what I have explained, the same thing is applicable over here. Now next is rainfall duration. So here also as and when the rainfall duration is more, your runoff is going to be more. The reason why I'll tell you, imagine right now we have two scenarios where two rainfalls have occurred, and these rainfalls have occurred for a different duration. So imagine the first rainfall, this is the cloud, okay, this is the ground, has occurred for, let us say, just for 3 minutes. Okay, so at this point of time what will happen, the duration of rainfall is very less, so that's why quantum of water which is being put to the ground through the rainfall, at this point of time this all the soil will get saturated because it will absorb that water. But this 3 minutes of rainfall might be enough only for this adsorption of water, or absorption of water, sorry. So because of this what will happen, there will not be any runoff that will be generated. Now for the same soil, same condition, everything, but instead of 3 minutes, imagine now the rainfall is of for 30 minutes. So for this 30 minutes right now what will happen, since again we'll start fresh, the soil is dry now, so that's why initially it will get saturated. Once it's saturated, the infiltration starts. When the infiltration capacity is less, so that time the runoff is going to be started. So that's why as and when the rainfall duration is more, once this soil is saturated with water, then only the runoff is going to get started. So that's why as and when the rainfall duration is more, your your runoff is going to be more. Now next is condition of ground prior to the rainfall. So what do you mean by this is, imagine I have two cases again. Here the soil is completely dry. Okay, here the soil is completely dry. So the same quantity of rainfall, imagine if it is happening for this dry soil, what will happen? So most of this rainfall that might be occurring will be absorbed by the soil itself, because it is completely dry. The each type of soil has its own capacity to absorb the water, so that's why this absorption can be more whenever it is a fresh rainfall water which is going to be there. Now second thing is, imagine the same cloud with the same intensity and every other condition is same, but the soil is wet. Okay, instead of dry, the soil now is wet. At that point of time what will happen, already the soil is wet, so only a small portion of the rainfall will be absorbed, and then immediately the runoff might be starting off. So that's why as and when the condition of ground prior to the rainfall, so condition of the ground in the sense what, whether that ground was dry before the rainfall or it was wet before the rainfall. So based on that, the runoff characteristics or else its generation will be different. Now next is concentration or compactness of the catchment area. Now for this let us take one more example. Okay, so concentration or compactness of the catchment area. Okay, so for this, let me take an what I can say, a crude example. Okay, so imagine, let us say I have this ground. Okay, so there is no paved roads or concrete or paver blocks or something, so it is completely made up of soil. So at this point of time, usually imagine, so if this is a walking area, okay, at that point of time, wherever the people usually walk, so there you can check out, there will not be any grass or any vegetation that will be grown only for that stretch of area. Okay, wherever there is a movement. Okay, so because of this, what will happen, because of the regular movement of human beings, imagine that that is the scenario. At that point of time, what will happen, this soil or this area is going to get compacted because of the continuous movement of public or human beings who are walking on this. So that's why once the soil become compact, okay, so all its air voids are getting compacted, or else they are reducing. At that point of time, this patch of soil will have less amount of water that can be absorbed or withheld within this. Whereas here, if in the other place, if we have the grass or your general soil where there is no movement of any human beings, okay, there is no walking path over there, so at that point of time, what will happen, this area can have more air voids, and in turn it can have more quantum of infiltration or more quantum of absorption of water that can be there. So that's why concentration or compactness of the catchment area, as and when the compactness of the catchment area is more, as it is there in this blue strip, the amount of runoff generated will be more. The reason for that is what? As and when it is compact, the voids are less, because of which the runoff can occur at a much faster rate. Now the last one is climatic conditions such as wind, humidity and temperature. So for any given set of conditions, okay, in which locality or area you are being in, so based on these climatic conditions also our runoff is going to vary. So that's why if the wind is there, imagine a simple thing, I have a sloping ground like this, okay, rainfall is occurring something like this, okay. So if the wind is occurring towards the slope, then what will happen, the quantity of runoff will be more, obviously. If the same thing, if the wind is blowing in the opposite direction, this is quite an exaggerated slope what I have drawn, but even then, if the slope is quite less lenient, if I need to draw one more figure, okay, let us say this is that particular slope of the ground, rainfall is occurring, okay. So at that point of time, if the wind is in the opposite direction, slope is in the other direction, at this point of time there will be a bit of resistance for the flow of runoff. I cannot say it is quite significant, but even with a minimum what I can say concentration, there will be a bit of resistance for the flow of runoff. So that's why even for the wind direction, even the humidity condition. So humidity, that is nothing but the moisture in the atmosphere, as well as the temperature of the atmosphere. So these are going to have some minor effect on the amount of runoff. So till now, again I'll repeat, whatever runoff I have mentioned, so that runoff is nothing but the wet weather flow. So wet weather flow is nothing but what? Your sewage plus the storm runoff. So here right now what we have studied is basically how the generation of wet weather flow or a part of that wet weather flow will be there through the runoff. Yeah.